Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifice. These are Jesus' words to the Pharisees as he's sitting with his disciples and a new disciple, a tax collector, a sinner, Matthew. Jesus has just called Matthew to be one of his followers, and Matthew is so excited to be following Jesus now that he invites all of his friends over to his house for a party. And while they're there, Jesus is sitting and eating with these sinners, prostitutes, tax collectors, probably people that you don't think would really want to be around Jesus, and yet there they are, wanting to be next to him. Oh, and the religious people are there too. The really religious people, the Pharisees. And they're there to keep an eye on Jesus, wanting to see what he's doing. But also, it seems that they want to judge who Jesus is eating with. But when Jesus hears their comments to his disciples, that's when he says, "Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifice. For I came not to call the righteous, but the sinners." Today, as we come together on this Ash Wednesday evening, there may be no more fitting and no more comforting statement that Jesus can make to us. I desire mercy, not sacrifice. As I said, Jesus says these words to the religious elite, the self-righteous, because they were all about the external religious sacrifice. The external religion of doing things that make them look good. But unfortunately, the Pharisees' hearts were a long ways away from God. They were just doing these things really for themselves, for others to see. But they didn't have a relationship with God. And this isn't just a problem in Jesus' day, because these aren't even Jesus' own words, not originally. He's using words from Hosea. Hosea wrote these words, the prophet Hosea wrote these words 500 years before Jesus said them. It seems like God's people often find themselves putting their trust in what they're doing, putting their trust in their own sacrifices. But that's not what caught my attention about this verse for this evening. What really caught my attention was that outside of Jesus, everything and everyone that we put in that primary position, in that God position in our life, outside of Jesus, everything else desires a sacrifice from you. Think about it. Anything else we put our trust or our hope in as a God, so an idol, unlike Jesus, will ask you to make more sacrifices. Think about just putting your work as your top priority. You put in more hours, you make more concessions, you see your family less, and if you want to get ahead, you better be ready to lay all the rest of those things at the altar of your career, at the altar of your success. And your work isn't offering you any mercy. It's just asking for more sacrifice. How about our culture? Our culture today wants you to sacrifice as well. If we put our culture ahead of our own faith, if we put our culture in that primary position, it's going to ask us to sacrifice as well. Sacrifice your beliefs. Sacrifice your faith. Sacrifice your idea of right and wrong. Our culture isn't offering you mercy if you don't believe what they believe. Our culture wants you to sacrifice. How about our addictions or our pet sins? You know, the ones we really struggle with. Things that we used to do, things that we do because we used to really like doing them. Maybe they make us feel good or they make us feel accepted. Our addictions, our sins, want sacrifice. In fact, they'll make us sacrifice. Some of them will make us sacrifice our health, our money, our time, our freedom. No mercy from our addictions, no mercy from sin, just more sacrifice. And there's no relief from other religions either. If you study other religions, you'll find out that they don't really point to mercy too often. Do this to save yourself. Follow these rules. Eat this. Don't eat that. Read this book. You have to live this way. You must. You have to do this right or else. You won't find mercy in other religions. Just more sacrifice. And the thing is, no matter what you put in that first place, if it's not God, no matter what you put there, no matter what your idol is, it will never be enough. You can sacrifice everything, and it still won't be enough for your idol. The more you give, the more it asks for. The more you work, the more you feel like you need to do more, or you're asked to do more. What you did yesterday for your idol, it's not good enough anymore. Do more. Same with our culture, our addictions. Really, again, anything that we put in the place of God in our life is going to ask for more. Whatever is in that place, whatever gets there, whether it's money, success, friends, family, pleasure, popularity, whatever, that idol will never be satisfied. What you do will never be good enough. So you will need to give more, sacrifice more, compromise more. It's enough to drive you to your knees in despair after a while. You get tired of doing what your idol asks for. You get tired of what it's calling you to do. Feeling like you're working harder for it, doing more, and still you feel like you're not doing enough. You're still not measuring up. And this goes on until you finally break, until you've had enough and you call out in frustration, I need mercy. I need mercy. I give up. If you've ever gotten to that point, or if you're there right now with something, feeling like that something in your life is asking for more and more from you, becoming a tyrant with no end to the abuse in sight, then you've come to the right place tonight. Because while you might be calling out in despair, I desire mercy, Jesus is coming to you with those words for a totally different reason. You see, Jesus is the only God that doesn't ask you to prove yourself. He's not asking you to do something to prove yourself more worthy to Him, because He's already done it. He's already done everything that there is to do to fulfill the perfect demands that God placed on your life. Jesus lived perfectly and died in your place to fulfill everything that God asked. And so Jesus takes all of those times when you have felt like giving up. He takes all those times when you have given in to your idols, your addictions, your sins. He takes all those times that you let something else creep into that number one spot in your life. He takes all of them and He puts them up on the cross where He sacrifices Himself for you. See, Jesus is the sacrifice, the once and for all sacrifice. And He did this for you for just one reason. So you could have mercy. So Jesus could come to you and say, it's over. It's done. You know that thing that has been a tyrant in your life? I took care of that one too. You know that thing that you just can't get rid of? That one too. You get mercy. You don't have to do more. You don't have to earn God's favor. You don't have to do anything more than what I've already done for you on the cross. And that's what he's saying to you, to the Pharisees, to everyone. I desire mercy, not sacrifice, because I am the sacrifice, and there is nothing left to give. I mean, what can you add to perfect? What can you add to what Jesus has already done for you? If God fulfilled everything for you through Jesus Christ, what else can you give that's of greater value than the life of his own Son? Nothing. Nothing, that is, except you, yourself, your faith, your belief, your love, and your devotion. Jesus is the only God that you can have in your life that's going to say to you, I've done all of it for you, so I desire mercy for you. I desire compassion for you. I don't desire anything more from you except you. Every other God, every other thing that we put first in our life will demand more. More time, more money, more of this, more of that to satisfy its claim on your life. And we will keep pushing and pushing to do enough, to be enough in the eyes of our false God. But Jesus is the only one who comes to you and says, I desire mercy, not for myself, but for you. Because that's what I have for you. Mercy, compassion, undeserved love, grace. This is the perfect message for us here as we sit with the black crosses on our foreheads. These black crosses are not there to make you feel bad about yourself. Ash Wednesday isn't a day that we beat ourselves up for what we've done. No. You see, it's another day, a special day, that we get to remember what Jesus has done for us. And so tonight, as you go home and you get to wash that cross off of your forehead, remember, Jesus didn't make you carry your own sin. He didn't make you carry the blackness of what you had done. He washed it off for you. Jesus didn't ask you to make things right with him. He made it right for you. Jesus washed away all of your sin. It's gone. It's finished. It's forgiven. Why? Because he desired mercy, not sacrifice, for you. Amen. At this time, we respond.